Today, we'll be discussing Canadian permanent residents. I know for the last few lives I was talking about temporary residents, whether it be work permits or the tourist visa or the work study permits. So today I'm going to just give a brief overview about the permanent residence program that Canada offers to foreign nationals. Okay? So as I always begin, my name is Kayande Davanish. I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, and what that means is I'm licensed by the Government of Canada to help foreign nationals, Canadian residents, or Canadian citizens with any immigration-related services or any immigration-related issues that they may have. And why I stress on the term license is because in order to provide these services, you have to be licensed by the Government of Canada. You have to get a license number. You have to be part of their licensing body and go through certain requirements before you even become licensed. And they do this now to reduce the amount of fraud being carried out, whether it's in Canada or outside, in certain parts of the world. They do this to reduce the number of persons who are being defrauded and taken advantage of. So no matter who you're using, whether you're getting advice from me or someone else you saw on the internet, always say, what is your, hi, thank you for your information, what is your license number, and always do your due diligence to ensure that the person you're working with is licensed and that you're covered and protected in case anything goes wrong. Okay, because as a licensed consultant, I have to take out insurance to make sure that if anything happens to my client, in terms of the legal aspect in the immigration, not medical, but insurance ensure that I am held at a higher and ethical legal standpoint, and if anything that I don't do in terms of my part as your consultant, you will be covered by the licensing body. Okay, so getting to the topic today, let's talk about Canadian permanent residents. So as I said, I would have spoken about visiting Canada on a tourist visa, or persons who would like to come on a study permit or work permit. Those will be considered temporary resident services. So those are, you come to Canada for a short period of time for a specific reason, whether it's to just visit the island as a tourist, work at a specific job, or study, and then you go back to your home country. So that's what's considered temporary residence. So permanent residence is basically just being able to come to Canada, live, work, study, and just stay here without requiring a permit or authorization from the government, because you'll be a permanent resident. And there are many pathways or immigration programs that Canada has to help persons migrate to Canada. So in the earlies, Canada used to use a first come, first serve process. So you apply today, you go into a queue, no matter what your age, no matter your education, your work experience, if you have family ties, your intention, you just go in a queue, and it's processed on a first come, first serve basis. This process used to take years. Some persons might have gone through their entire lives and not even gotten any application updates or anything. So in 2015, Canada introduced something called express entry. And as the term says, express, it means it's a faster pathway into Canada. So express entry is just one pathway, and it is not really a program, but it is a management system that they use to manage 3 Canadian programs, immigration programs, and these programs are based on their economical value and also any labor shortages they may have. So these 3 programs are the skilled worker program. So under this program, you would see persons being able to get a fast track entry if you're a doctor, a lawyer. These skilled programs, if you're even something called like a bank manager, someone in financial services, once it is you need a bachelor's degree and higher, they will call those things a skilled, or you'll be a skilled worker, where you have to show that you have to go to university or college to get a degree to be able to practice whatever field it is. So that's skilled worker. Then we have the skilled trades. So these are people who we consider persons like welders, carpenters, mechanics, persons who work, bus drivers, truck drivers, and these people would use either their hands or they're skilled to do manual work. So as I said, remember I said these things are based on Canada's labor shortages, and currently there are not much Canadians who are actually going into those trades. So they have that pathway as well. So the first one is skilled worker, and now we have skilled trades. And then the third program is called the Canadian Experience Class. So this program, which is still under express entry, of a persons who would have come to Canada as a foreign national and gotten work experience in Canada. It could have been under any of the different programs, any of the different skilled programs or trade programs, but you'd have gotten work experience in Canada, legal work experience, I might add. You'd have had to get a work permit or be work permit exempt, and you can now apply for permanent residence under the express entry. Usually for express entry, it takes somewhere between 6 months to because of COVID and the backlog of applications, it's kind of going up to like 8 months. But they try to keep application processing under 6 months. So once it is you enter that pool and you are selected for permanent residence, you can be living in Canada as a resident in as little as 6 months, right? So in terms of express entry, and you're like, oh, this sounds like a good pathway, like what exactly do I need? So with express entry, you have to meet certain minimum basic requirements. You have to meet certain language requirements to show that you can speak and communicate in the English language or French language properly. So you have to show that you did an English exam. You would have to have minimum work experience as well in the skilled trade or the skilled field that you want to do, and that can be supported with job letters or your reference letters or your job contract, these things to show that you would have done this work that you're claiming for points. And you have to have a certain level of education. With everything in Canada, you must at least have like a high school certificate, or at least some subjects, whether it's CXC or whatever country you're from, at least something showing that you would have completed high school and gotten some subjects. But most of the programs under express entry, you need things like either diploma or certificate, bachelor's, or if you're under trades, you would need at least some kind of qualifying certificate. So if you in your country you have like Hart, I know that's in Jamaica, you have YTEP, you have some of these trade schools. If you have your carpentry or your welding certificate from these schools, that will be eligible as well, right? So other things that you will have to, of course, show, that you have proof of funds in your home country that you're able to now bring across with you in Canada to show that you are not going to depend on the government for welfare or for them to take care of you, because you can't take care of yourself or your family. So you'd of course have to show that you have a certain amount of funds in your account, and this can be shown through bank statements or letter from the bank stating that you have this amount, and Canada would ask you for that. Okay? So for the express entry pathway, it's basically the process is as follows. You basically find out if you're eligible for any of the 3 programs. The 3 programs, I will repeat: Canadian Experience Class, the Federal Skilled Worker Class, and the Federal Skilled Trade Program. So if you qualify, there's a website, the Government of Canada website. You can just Google eligibility for express entry, and you could fill out a checklist, or it's like a form, like a assessment form, to find out if you are eligible for any of these programs. Once you're eligible and they say yes, you're eligible, you can now go ahead and create a profile for yourself, sign in into the Government of Canada website, and just input in your personal details based on your work experience, your age, your educational credentials, all these different things. If you're married, if you have kids, all of these things they ask, and then using that information for you, they give you a score. So the express entry is a system based on points. So everything that you add to your profile, you get a certain amount of points, and persons with the highest number of points are who will be eligible to now apply. So I'm seeing like every week, every 2 weeks, they have something called a draw. That's where they put what score they are looking for, and if you qualify with that score, you have more than that score, you can now apply for permanent residence. Okay? So once you put in create your profile and you're given that score, so you would know your score once you press submit. They will give you a score, and it's a waiting game. You have to wait for the government to say, okay, well, we're looking for scores. If your score is 500, we're looking for scores of 500 and more. Once that score comes along, you will automatically get an email saying that you have qualified in this rounds of invitations. You can now apply for permanent residence, right? So as I said, with these programs, you would be required to do an English exam. You would have to get your educational credentials assessed according to Canada's benchmarks to claim those points for education. And you would need to get job reference letters. You would also have to do a medical to show that you are not going to be a burden on the medical system. And you'll have to do a police certificate of character, police check, to ensure you have no criminal record or you're not deemed a threat to Canadians and residents in Canada. Right? So they said this program, it could take from 6 months, that's the shortest time they try to do it in, and up to 8 months, depending on how many draws they do, as well as, just processing the number of applicants that they invite to apply. So outside of express entry, all the other programs would take a much longer time, right? So most other programs could take over a year, but the other programs in recent times have proved to be of more, like the person's clients are actually liking these programs because the express entry is getting very competitive. Like it is very, scores where it used to be around 475, now it's over 500. And they favor persons who are young, between the ages of 20 to 29 years old, and have things like master's degree and at least 2 to 3 years work experience in the skilled field you're looking for. So if it is you're not eligible, or you think that you can't get a high enough score for express entry, there's something called the Provincial nomination programs. So this is where the province, because I'll explain the number of provinces in Canada after, but this is where the province, which is considered like a county, so in like Trinidad, Jamaica, like in the Caribbean, you might have counties, or I wouldn't say cities, it's more like I would say more counties. So they are about 10 provinces and 3 territories in Canada, and all but one have their own programs to bring foreign nationals into Canada. So they will have these programs based on their labor force and their needs for that particular province. So you have heard of like Toronto, that's in Ontario. They would have their number of programs that they would now create based on what they want Ontario to look like. You may have heard of Alberta. So they have some different programs which will be different from Ontario based on their needs. So if it is Toronto is more of a manufacturing and a metropolitan, they might have different needs than someone who is like a fishing province like Halifax or in Nova Scotia. So they will have different needs. So what I tell clients, like, yes, express entries are faster way, but the provinces, because it's not as strict as the express entry, you're now able to look at the skills that you have and see, okay, how can I match to a province? How can I get access to one of these? Because there are over 80 programs that the provinces offer. So now the skill is like, understanding and knowing the different provinces, what are the requirements, and how do you match up to it. So of course that's where a consultant comes in who would be dealing with these who will be dealing with these programs on a regular and will be able to give you advice based on your personal situation. So for example, if you're a student and you say, okay, I would like to study in Canada first, there are programs that if it is you study in a particular province and you get a job offer after you graduate, you're now able to apply for permanent residence. You don't have to go into a pool, you don't have to get points. They would give you a nomination because you're studying there. You show that you have an interest in that province and you're working there. So it shows that you are able to settle and, provide and give back to that province in the whatever services that province needs. So if they see that they want you, they would give you that nomination, and then the government of Canada would now process your application and move forward with that provincial nomination program. As I said, this usually takes at least 12 to 17 months, depending on what program it is. But while you're waiting for your permanent residence, you are allowed to work in the province if you're already there. Some programs allow you to get a work permit while you await your permanent residence, so you don't have to wait for these 17 months to now come to Canada. You could come to Canada as a temporary worker and then transfer it once it is you get your actual permanent residence in hand. Okay? So these programs usually target persons who are students, skilled workers, semi-skilled workers, business people, and as I said, there are over 80 different programs. So I won't get into all right now, but more than likely, once you're a skilled person, you have a degree or you have work experience in a skilled field, then more likely than not, there is a program that can fit, or you can aim to probably boost yourself by getting that doing something else or studying that province to get that nomination. And another good thing about the provinces and those nominations is that at least one of those programs in the provinces are aligned with express entry. So I don't know if you recall, I would have spoken about the points. Once it is you have a provincial nomination, you automatically get 600 points. And once you have that 600 points, you will automatically get an invitation to apply, because right now the minimum, like in this month, has been 500. So 600, just by getting that provincial nomination certificate, you would automatically be given the permanent residence. As with the express entry, you would still need to do a medical to show you would not be a burden on the medical system, and you also have to show that you do not have a criminal record. Okay, so through your police checks and your certificate of characters, you would have to do those things as well. You would have to meet certain English requirements as well, or French, and you would also have to get job letters if you're going on a program that you need work experience to say that you are qualified. Okay, so I'm seeing some questions in the chat. So I usually take questions at the end, and there's a questions tab, because I won't be going through all different questions, like scrolling back up, because I won't have time to. So you all can put it in the questions tab, and I can answer it from there, probably in the last 5 minutes, okay? And also, please don't put any personal information, because everything has to be treated confidential if it's your personal information. So please don't put any personal questions about your situation, your family situation. If it's a general question, you can put it there, and if it's something personal, you could always talk to me at the direct message me at the end of the live. Okay, so we spoke about the express entry, and we spoke about the provincial nomination programs. Okay, so the last topic I had was for business person and investors who would like to migrate to Canada under this, like they haven't worked for anyone, or they're not like in a skilled work or skilled trade, but they have their own business, or they are self-employed. There are programs for those persons as well. So I will talk about the self-employed pathway first. So when persons hear the term self-employed, they think it's very broad, like, you know, I have my own car dealership, or I have my own grocery, or I have my own hair salon. But Canada looks at self-employed if you meet only two requirements. One, either you have experience in cultural activities, or two, if you're in athletics, and you must have performed at a world-class level. So say you're a footballer for your country, or you are in the Olympics, or you're a swimmer for your country. Or not even for your country, if it is you're representing a club, like a national club, on like in Gold Cup or CARICOM Cup, yes, or any football or athletic and cultural activities, they consider that self-employed. So I know persons come, hi, I'm self-employed, kind of move over. Unfortunately, unless you fall in those two categories of cultural activities or athletics, they don't recognize self-employment under this program. Okay. And then if it is you do have that you are in cultural activities or into athletics, you must have at least 2 years full-time experience in whatever field you're doing. So if you're a footballer, you must show that you've played football at a world-class level or international level for at least 2 years. If it is, say you're say you're playing a musical instrument, say you're a pianist, or say you're a reggae singer, and you would have represented that field on an international level, you have toured the world, toured Europe, you can show that you will now be benefiting Canada by bringing that skill to Canada. So you might say, okay, I play pan, I've been playing pan all over the world, I want to now come to Canada and let pan be taught in schools, or you want to give back to Canada in that way that they can also benefit culturally. That's what you need to show if you're self-employed. Okay? So outside of self-employed, there's the business person. So for this business immigration, it is very, I wouldn't say tricky, but it is also, it's very specific. Like how self-employed is specific. So your business that you would like to establish in Canada must be one innovative. It shouldn't be something that's already oversaturated in Canada. You have to look to see is it in fintech? Is it in something IT related or new? Not just in, okay, I'm selling computers. What you have to look to see, how is it going to be different from what Canada already has, because the main goal of Canada is to propel their country, make it better, and not just bring in persons who can do what a Canadian can do. So you have to show how you're different. So the requirements are, is your business innovative? Can your business create jobs for Canadians or Canadian residents? And can it compete on a global scale? So when you're doing this, of course, Canada gives you like a checklist to tick off to make sure that it reaches you meet that minimum requirements, because in your mind you could be like, yes, my business is amazing, it could compete on a global scale, but there's a checklist that you must go through to show that you will be competitive, you will be adding value to Canada, you'll be adding value to Canadians and providing jobs. Okay, so once you can show that, you will now also need to get a letter of approval from a designated institution. So these are called like angel investors, or companies that are licensed by Canada to help persons bring their business from anywhere in the world and bring it and have it established in Canada. You must have that letter. So that means you now have to do up a business plan, make it very sound and tight to show that these investors that, hey, once I bring this to you, it is something that is going to be innovative, be beneficial and everything. Not all investors provide money. Some of them provide money, or they may provide services like mentorship. It will depend on what exactly your business is. So these angel investors, as I said, are designated by the government of Canada. It's not just you have a rich friend who wants to invest. It is someone who is authorized by the government of Canada to invest into business people from foreigners, right? So with any program, I'm reiterating this, with any program you're trying to move to Canada as a permanent resident, you have to do a medical, you have to do police certificate of character, you have to have a minimum English requirement based on the program. You must have some kind of education for the program you want to do. So as I said, it doesn't have to be a degree, it could be a trade certificate, it could be a diploma, bachelor's, whatever. You need to perform that job efficiently, and you need to show that you have done that job already. Not that you're not coming here to learn, right? Okay, yeah, so I saw one question. So I've covered what I wanted to in my agenda, and if anyone has any questions, they can ask me now. As I always reiterate, I would be reposting the live onto my Instagram wall for view of later, in case you came in late or you want to watch over any part just to get any clarification. It would be posted on my live it will be posted on my wall after the live for review. Okay, so I'm seeing one question so far. After getting a work or study permit, how long after can I apply for permanent residence? So this is basically another pathway, which I didn't mention today because I was going to mention next week, but that's a temporary resident changing their status to permanent residence. And you can also do that through Canadian experience class. That means if it is you have work experience in Canada, you could apply through express entry, and you only need 1 year of work experience in a specific level. So if it is you that have studied in Canada, and you want to apply for permanent residence through express entry, you would need to get at least 1 year work experience after graduating and then apply. If you already have the 1 year experience and you got it legally, you can apply for express entry or Canadian experience class, right? Okay, so I'm not seeing any more questions in the questions tab, and I said I can't go through all of the different messages higher up. If anyone asks a question higher up and they want to put it into the questions tab, you can put it now, because we have 3 minutes again before the live ends. What is the estimated cost fees associated with the express entry application? So if you go onto the Government of Canada's website, they have all of their fees listed there in terms of the government processing fees. There are things like the permanent residency fee, the application fee, and it's different. It's based on, as I said, if it is you alone, if it's your husband, if you have kids, each of these things will add up, and they have a table there. So you just go on Government of Canada express entry processing fees, and there's a whole list of with all the different programs and the costs to apply for it. All right, so usually I would say it's around 1,600 Canadian for a single person. That's their permanent residency fee and the application fee together. Okay. Okay, so I'm seeing someone just bad. They are asking about the provincial nomination and the express entry pathway. Yes, I did talk about it in the live. So once I upload it, you can go back and look at it. It gives you additional 600 points. And how long does it take? How long does what take? And if I recommend it, yes, I would. If you can get a provincial nomination and that can boost your points, I would recommend getting a provincial nomination. Yeah. So, and one other person asks, are there entry level for what is the minimum amount of cash you should have to show you're financially secure? So this is also on the Government of Canada's website. You can Google proof of funds for permanent residents, and there's a table where they tell you if you're a family of one, I think it's around 13,000 and something. So as inflation and the cost of living goes up, these tables change. So what it was last year, what it was 5 years ago, it's not what it will be this year. So whenever you're applying, ensure that you look for the updated table. But as of right now, 2023, it changed this year after COVID because of inflation, as I said. It's, I think one person, it's 13,000 and some change. For if you're a family of two, it would be more. If you're a family of five, it would be more. And all of those things are listed there on the Government of Canada's website. Any information you're seeking, you should try to get it from reputable and official sources, because I've heard persons get led astray, and I don't ever blame the person, but I always tell persons, and I put it on my website and I put it on my lives, just Google official Government of Canada website. You come up and you can find nearly everything there. If it's still confusing to you, that's when it is you reach out to a consultant, immigration consultant, and that's when you make sure that they're licensed. The same Government of Canada website, you can go on to make sure that that person is licensed. If they give you their name and their license number, ensure that they are in good standing. They haven't been disbarred. They haven't been put on the suspension for whatever reason. So not because someone's name is on the registry means that, okay, yes, you should go with them. But just ensure that it says active next to their name. Okay? So it's 8... okay. I'm so sorry, guys. It's like I'm getting so many questions now, and I didn't want to go over 8:30. Okay, this one. Can I use an ETA to enter Canada and apply for a work permit job? Yes, so you can apply. You can come to Canada as a tourist, and if it is you are able to get a legal a legal job, you are able to change your status to a work permit. You have to go through the regular immigration process, but you are able to do that once it is you get an LMIA approved job. Okay? Okay, so if anyone has any other questions, you all can always feel free to send me a DM, and I will be happy to respond to you. Okay? And I said again, thank you everyone for always joining me, and I hope that the information I give is beneficial, it's helpful, it's keeping you informed and making you feel even more confident, or making you feel more comfortable in your immigration journey if this is something you're interested in. Okay, so have a great night, and I'll be posting it on my wall as soon as it uploads, and you can view it there, share it with your friends, and yeah, keep learning. Have a great night, everyone. You're welcome. Good night, everyone.